Mr. Luo, will you believe me when I say it was a misunderstanding? Tony Stark was as flustered as he could be. The originally confident battle of revenge, from at the moment, looks like a Joker performance. Damn it. Why is there always some legendary creatures around this guy? He's almost freaking out. Okay. What do you think? Luo Tang tilted his head, his playfulness became more obvious. Mr. President, I am very good at cutting mechanical bodies. Do you want to cut him? Fubuki from Hell at the moment was eager to get on good terms with Luo Tang. After all, the purpose of her travel is to become stronger. And a man who can subdue even a giant dragon must have the power to make her stronger. Hey. Hey. Stop. Ladies. This is not ladylike behavior. This is a one-on-one battle between men. Tony Stark looked at Fubuki, who was holding a small tornado, and hurriedly called to stop. God. That kind of thing with extremely high kinetic energy is not what a normal person should have, no matter how you look at it. Moreover, the women around Luo Tang, even if they are more beautiful than the other, why are they more dangerous than the other? One-on-one? Would you please eat if you lose? Luo Tang couldn't help laughing. No problem. Tony Stark was nervous, but he agreed anyway. After all, facing a human is better than facing non-humans and giant dragons. Space-based system, remove his armor. Luo Tang walked towards Tony Stark unhurriedly. Stark, who was in Mark's armor, listened to the urgent alarm of Jarvis with a confused face. Warning. Warning. Violent invasion. Can't resist. Can't resist. The control system has been captured. Click. Click, jingling. The Mark armor on Tony Stark fell to the ground in just a few seconds. The technological means he is proud of now seem like a frog at the bottom of a well. Boom. Luo Tang punched Tony Stark in the stomach firmly. The scene of the past was repeated again. Stark fell to the ground with a distorted face. He felt like his intestines were going to explode with that punch just now. Jarvis, Tony said just now that he wants to treat guests. I want a table of Chinese food and 50 whole roast lambs. Luo Tang picked up Iron Man's helmet and said to Jarvis. Happy at your service, sir. Better hurry, my friend is hungry. Sir, the chef will cook for you at the fastest speed. After 10 minutes, the meals will start to be served one after another. Very good. Luo Tang nodded and threw the helmet on the ground casually. Tony Stark looked up at the steel battlesuit with difficulty, the shock in his eyes still hadn't dissipated. The control of Jarvis was taken away, the steel battlesuit disintegrated automatically, and even Jarvis began to obey the opponent. This kind of technology is far beyond him. 10 minutes later, a helicopter came over the travel agency. The bodyguards hired by Tony Stark quickly walked into the travel agency with various dishes. Looking at the boss who was still rubbing his belly, they had to sigh that being rich is self-willed. Put things down. Let's go. The dishes in the back, hurry up. Tony Stark said, took the dishes in the hands of his subordinates, and went up to the second floor. As the richest man in the world, at the moment directly acted as a passer. The second floor has been redecorated, except for 2 small guest rooms, the other places are planned as a fitness area. A ton of gym equipment, at the moment, was thrown into the corner. Luo Tang, Hell's Fushui, and Ignir sat in a circle and sat on the ground. After Tony Stark brought up 2 large packages of dishes, he sighed softly. I just feel that the previous worldview has been shattered into glass slag. Mr. Luo, how many forces and creatures in this world I don't understand. Tony Stark's eyes were full of complexity. He could see that Luo Tang didn't have much ill feeling towards him. The only bit of displeasure is probably because he once accosted Ms. Angel. However, this shouldn't be a big deal. Beyond the Earth, there is a vast universe and countless brilliant civilizations. Outside the universe, there are different worlds. Not to mention you, I don't know how many incomprehensible creatures there are. However, the myths and civilizations you know most magical creatures really exist. Luo Tang shrugged. Looking at Ignir who picked up a big bag of fried vegetables and stuffed them into his mouth to chew, he panicked instantly. Ignir. You ate half of our food in one bite. Sorry. What is this stuffy? Ignir apologized. The dragon's claws clasped between his teeth, and pulled out the large plastic bag containing the food. Oh my god. This is so disgusting. Hell's Fushui complained, and subconsciously leaned over to Luo Tang's side. I agree, Mr. Dragon, can you be a little more gentleman? Your roasted whole lamb will be here soon. Tony Stark took a deep breath, so he couldn't let it out directly. My name is Ignir, human. My name is Tony Stark, not human. You are not human. The chef at Tony Stark's house is really good. As the richest man, the chefs who cook for him are at the level of Michelin chefs per capita. It was the first time for Luo Tang to enjoy this kind of food, and he was naturally very satisfied. Definitely, if there were no two questioning machines beside him, the meal would have been more enjoyable. Ignier and Tony Stark are simply the embodiment of 100,000 whys, with various questions emerging one after another. If Luo Tang didn't have a space-based system, I'm afraid the two of them would have been confused. Phil Coulson requests communication. Is it connected? In Luo Tang's mind, there was an inquiry from the space-based system. After thinking about it, he put his hand on his right ear and chose to connect. The current relationship between S.H.I.E.L.D. and him has already entered the honeymoon period, and if you call now, there are 9 out of 10 requests for him. Mr. Luo, I'm sorry to disturb you, but we seem to have discovered aliens. Are you free? Boom, boom, boom. Phil Coulson's call was accompanied by a strong explosion. It is conceivable that his at the moment state must be somewhat dangerous. Luo Tang used a space-based system to check Phil Coulson's current location and satellite surveillance images. When he saw the black armor titan with a black body and fire breathing everywhere, he raised his eyebrows slightly. Destroyer. The guardian machine of Odin's treasury, the super armor with destructive power. Mr. Luo, are you listening? Well, let me ask my customer. Luo Tang heard Phil Coulson's questioning, and turned his head to look at Chu Shui and the others. In the timeline of the Marvel world, the times of Iron Man, Hulk, and Thor are very close. Now that Tony has built the armor of the Mark, it is normal for Thor to be demoted at this time. Want to see people from alien civilizations? Definitely. There was some expectation in Tony's eyes. I'm a little interested. Fubuki from Hell thought for a while and nodded. Are there dragons there? Can they live in harmony with dragons? Ignil tilted the dragon's head. The 9 worlds managed by Asgard seem to have dragons. Jotunheim has frost dragons, Moose Belheim has flame dragons, and the underworld has undead dragons. Although the IQs don't seem to be very high. Luo Tang scratched it, thought about the plot in the original book, and answered. That's Wulong, that's fine. I really want to see it. Ignier also nodded. Then let's go. Luo Tang raised his hands, and the space-based system quickly began to perform wormhole calculations. Like drops of water falling into a peaceful lake. There were layers of ripples in the space in front of several people. Tony Stark is completely stupid. Is this ability really scientific? When the water-shaped gate expanded to 3 meters high and 2 meters wide, Luo Tang waved to several people and walked in first. Fubuki of Hell has gone through this kind of gate long ago, so naturally he doesn't have the slightest hesitation. Tony Stark saw the two go, and walked in with strong curiosity. The scene in front of several people suddenly began to change drastically. As if they had crossed tens of thousands of miles in one step, a few people in Manhattan, New York, suddenly appeared a western town. Boom, boom, boom. Explosions and screams resounded throughout the town. The 4 warriors of Asgard were taken into a panic by the destroyer, while Thor kept organizing the panicked crowd to retreat. Hey! Run! It's dangerous here. Oh, shit. Just pretend I didn't say it. Thor saw Luo Tang and others, and immediately shouted for them to leave. But after seeing the Fire Dragon King Ignir, his original calmness immediately disappeared. Who can tell him why there are giant dragons on the earth? Although this giant dragon looked like it was still underage, it was clearly a pure-blooded dragon. Ignir, he is the son of the king of god Odin in the 9 realms. Get rid of that iron lump, and you will gain the friendship of Asgard. You can ask him anything you want to know. Luo Tang waved his hand to Thor as a greeting, and turned to talk to Ignir. Roar. Ignir looked up to the sky and let out a dragon cry, and the dragon flames he spewed directly dyed the sky red. The originally shrunken body size began to expand rapidly. In the blink of an eye, Ignir turned into a giant dragon tens of meters long. The destroyer, who was only 7 or 8 meters tall, was as small as a gravel under his terrifying body. The scales glowing with magical red light are daunting. The god lay Thor scratched his head and turned around on the spot. He felt that he might have drunk fake wine. Otherwise, how could we encounter this kind of creature on Earth? Hell's Fubuki grabbed Luo Tang's sleeve, obviously very nervous. Today's Ignir is too imposing. God, damn curiosity. I should be in New York. Tony Stark sat down on the ground under Ignir's roar. Before, he seemed to have teased Ignir several times. Is his life still guaranteed? Ignir waved his wings, set off a terrifying hurricane, and rushed directly towards the destroyer. After the destroyer noticed him, he immediately spewed out flames of destruction. Is destroyer strong? Very strong. As the ultimate weapon made by Odin, whether it is strength or defense, or the powerful destructive flame, it can beat Thor. To put it bluntly, as long as this thing fully exerts its power, no one can stop it on Earth at this stage. It's a pity that no matter how good a weapon is, it needs to meet a good master. The destroyer under Loki's control is completely a rookie. Boom. The dragon flames and the flames of destruction collided in the air, and the scorching breath flew around. Before the embers of the flame fell, Ignir stabbed the destroyer's head with his paw. It's just that the destroyer, whose head was destroyed, still didn't stop attacking. Any part of the body can be turned into a weapon in its hand, and it started beating Ignir crazily. Consciously failing to deal with his opponent at once, Ignir, who lost face, grabbed the arm of the destroyer, and began to wrestle wildly. Boom. 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 Under the roar of an earthquake, the destroyer was like a rag, and was beaten by Ignir for nearly a minute. The 4 warriors of Asgard are stupid, and Thor is stupid. Nima. Isn't this giant dragon a bit too cruel? Those born in Asgard were not without seeing dragons. Even when they went to Jotunheim some time ago, they were almost swallowed by the frost dragon. But the flame dragon in front of him can beat the destroyer so hard that he can't fight back. Roar. With a dragon cry, Ignir grabbed the destroyer's arms with both claws after venting, and the dragon's mouth faced the destroyer's core, and began to spit out dragon flames frantically. As a magical creature, he knows very well how to stop this kind of thing completely. Click. After more than 10 seconds, the core of the destroyer collapsed, turning into a pile of broken copper and iron, scattered on the ground. Ignir flicked the faucet, turned back into a figure over 2 meters tall, and returned to Luo Tang. Hey, boss, I don't think you need to send someone over here. Phil Coulson agent, looking at the mighty, yet exceptionally well-behaved giant dragon in front of Luo Tang, bit his saliva fiercely. What happened? Nick Fury asked in a deep voice. Mr. Luo is here, and he also brought a giant dragon, and then that big iron-clad monster is now a scrap of iron. Give me a detailed task report later. I think this report will be as unreasonable as a magical novel. Phil Coulson sighed helplessly. Even though he had come into contact with aliens in the early years, the successive emergence of magical species still made him feel unbearable. I am Thor, the son of the king of god Odin. Thank you for your help. Thor stood in front of Luo Tang and expressed his sincere thanks. You know, the painful casualties and the screams of the civilians made him want to actively seek death just now. My name is Luo Tang, and this is Ignir, blowing snow from hell. Luo Tang greeted. No matter how arrogant Thor is, at the very least, at the moment's attitude is not bad. Hey. Mr. Luo, you seem to have forgotten to introduce me, Tony Stark said with a sad face. Is the world's richest man so insignificant now? Hello, Tony, I read your report in the newspaper. Thor greeted Tony with a smile. I don't think it's a good report. It's a bit stupid. Thor told the truth without any emotional intelligence, ignored Tony's stiff face, and looked at Luo Tang and others again. Friends, Asgard needs your help. My younger brother made a stupid decision. He united with the Frost Titan in an attempt to kill my father. I helped you. Can you answer my question? Ignir said in a deep voice. The sparks that leaked from the mouth from time to time made Thor Alexander, who was still immortal. Definitely. As a friend of Asgard, I will answer any questions you have. Even if I can't answer, Asgard's library will be open for you. Luo, what do you think? Ignir looked at Luo Tang. Okay, but you guys go first, I'll be there later. Luo Tang looked at the dilapidated street in the distance. The fleeting golden spark made him feel a familiar aura. Time gems. Ancient One just came here. Space-based system. Calculate the wormhole node opened by Ancient One. Luo Tang ordered in his heart. A space-time wormhole at the height of a person quickly opened in front of him. In the ripples of the water, Luo Tang disappeared directly in front of Thor and the others. The Ancient One magician, dressed in a white robe and pale as paper, sat quietly in the tea room of Kamar Taj. Looking at Luo Tang who came out of the space wormhole, he made an inviting gesture. Boiling spring water was poured into the teapot, and with gentle and natural movements, Ancient One made 2 cups of tea. Your appearance has caused this world to deviate from its original track. Ancient One picked up the teacup and said calmly. No matter when, her heart seems to be calm and calm. So, do you think this change is good or bad? Luo Tang smiled and picked up the teacup as well. I can't predict it. Ancient One said with a smile. Can't the eye of Agamotto see it too? Luo Tang raised his eyebrows. A fog hangs over you, beyond the eye of Agamotto's definition of time. Huh? I'm out of time? Dormammu? Luo Tang raised his eyebrows slightly. If he remembers correctly, Dormammu is a being beyond time. And, Ancient One and Dormammu are sworn enemies. Dormammu is just in the dark dimension, with infinite life, thus ignoring the scale of time, and the fog on you, ignoring the definition of time in this universe. Ancient One Magician was still as indifferent as before, softly explaining the difference between the two. In this universe, 6 powerful infinity stones create the flow of time we feel, transcending the definition of time. You will have an unchangeable past and an unpredictable future. Understood. Luo Tang nodded. To put it bluntly, the fog on his body is the Wanji travel agency system. And the existence of the system is obviously stronger than the infinite rough stone. The time flow defined by the infinite rough stone lost its effect on him. The past he experienced cannot be changed through time gem, and the future is also in his own hands. For this universe, he only exists, now, with infinite uncertainty. So, your purpose? Luo Tang put down his teacup, and the space-based system began to operate at full capacity. The angel gene in his body, under the enhancement of new elements, is already several times stronger than before. Not to mention physical invincibility, but the defense and healing speed have also risen several levels. More importantly, the dark energy in his body has nearly doubled. With the power of the magic system obtained from Tasaka Rin, even if he is facing the Sorcerer Supreme Ancient One, he is confident that he will not lose. Worst of all, he still has the reality gem. Give it a try, who is afraid of whom? The Ancient One Magician looked up, looking at the violent energy in the air, with a smile on his face that made people feel refreshed. You are really powerful, but I have no ill intentions towards you. I saw your love for this world, and I just want to figure out a better future for you. Let me join Kamar Taj. It doesn't matter whether you join or not, I just hope that you can become a part of protecting this world. What can I get? All the knowledge of Kamar Taj will be open to you, Eye of Agamotto, you can also study it, as long as you don't take it away. I promise you. Luo Tang nodded decisively. Ancient One Magician's request, to him, is not a request at all. After all, the earth is where he is there any reason to protect it? Your friend is still waiting for you. If you have time, you can come here more often. Ancient One Magician was obviously in a good mood. The appearance of Luo Tang really caught her off guard. But as long as everything is going in a good direction, it doesn't matter to her whether she knows the future or not. Definitely, the tea you made is delicious. Luo Tang nodded. With a wave of his hand, the space wormhole appeared behind him, and he left Kamar Taj directly. ******* On the barren plain, the 4 warriors of Asgard, Tony Stark, Fubuki from Hell, and Ignir looked up at the sky foolishly. They rode on Ignil's back before, and came here in an instant. And Thor has been shouting to the sky for more than 10 minutes. Heimdall. Take us back. Loki is going to kill Father. Heimdall. I knew you could see me. Heimdall. Father will be killed. It's okay if you don't take me back, but you must take my friend back. Shouting over and over again made Thor's voice hoarse. His eyes were bloodshot, and he hated his stupidity before. If he could wake up earlier, how could such a thing happen? The ripples of the space wormhole rippled around Fubuki of Hell. Luo Tang stepped out of the space wormhole, and just stood still when he heard Tony Stark's voice. Our interstellar travel seems to be in vain. I have been looking at the sky for more than 10 minutes like a fool. You didn't even wear the Mark armor. What are you doing here? Luo Tang frowned and looked at Tony Stark. It doesn't matter if you wear it or not, you won't be able to go anyway. Tony Stark shrugged, with a casual and relaxed expression on his face. Really? Luo Tang had a playful look on his face. The look in your eyes gives me a bad feeling. Congratulations, your premonition has come true. Boom. A roar came from 9 heavens. Before Tony Stark could react, Bifrost's colorful beam of light enveloped everyone. Turning into a streamer, in an instant, the vast universe flashed before everyone's eyes. In just a few seconds, when Luo Tang and the others got their feet on the ground again, they had already arrived in Asgard. Space-based system. Record the wormhole nodes. Luo Tang immediately issued an order to the space-based system. Mr. Luo, I think what you just said is right. Tony Stark held his forehead with one hand. He doesn't feel safe now without wearing a steel battlesuit. Ha ha ha. We're back. We're back. Thor laughed like a fool. Before he could even laugh, he saw Heimdall, who was listless and kneeling on the ground. Heimdall! Exclaimed the 4 warriors of Asgard. Loki brought Lof to Asgard. Go stop them, Mr. Luo Tang. Thor immediately looked at Luo Tang. Because of Luo Tang's intrusion before, Ignir directly killed the destroyer, and Thor still has not been recognized by Mjolnir. He lost his divine power and his body is only a little stronger than ordinary people, so he can only pin his hopes on these friends he met for the first time. It's not a big deal. Luo Tang smiled and snapped his fingers. A 6-pointed star magic circle with complicated magic lines appeared at the feet of everyone. Brush. The scene in front of them changed, and everyone was already standing in Odin's sleeping palace. Click. Ignir moved his butt in a little displeasure, and looked down at the back of the chrysanthemum. Seeing the dark blue unknown alien creature lying on the ground with a suspicious expression on his face, he blinked innocently. Lof. You are instigating a war. Thor saw Lof's figure, and the veins on his face bulged. If it weren't for at the moment, he was just a mortal, I'm afraid he couldn't help but rushed forward. When you broke into Jotunheim, the war had already begun. Lof got up from the ground with a look of confusion. Unprepared, Ignir sat firmly for a while, even with his physique. It felt like his bones were about to break. Icicles condensed from both hands. Looking at Luo Tang's group, he quickly ordered to attack. Superior. More than a dozen Frost Titans who came to participate in the assassination roared and rushed to Odin, who was lying on the couch. Oh, shit! Tony Stark exclaimed, before hiding behind Luo Tang. The 4 warriors of Asgard rushed forward without thinking. Frigga, the queen who was originally defeated by Lof, also took up the long sword again at the moment, protecting Thor and Tony behind him. I don't think it's suitable for fighting here. Looking at the menacing Frost Titan, Luo Tang snapped his fingers again. The mysterious magic circle instantly appeared under everyone's feet. Swish. Whether it was the Frost Titan, or Ignir and the others, they were all moved to the square outside the palace. The empty palace, at the moment only Luo Tang and the sleeping Odin are left. The space magic array replaces the wormhole algorithm with the magic space algorithm. Although the accuracy rate is much lower than that of space wormholes, it is really convenient to use. Especially when the distance is short and the number of people is relatively large. It seems to have ruined the trial you gave your son, but, to be honest, your trial is too childish. Luo Tang spoke to Odin, who was sleeping on the soft couch. He knew that even in Odin's sleep, the other party could hear him. I'll teach you later. To be honest, my level of teaching is not bad. After Luo Tang finished talking to himself, he opened the space wormhole. In a flash, he appeared in the square of Asgard. Jotunheim's Frost Titan is not as weak as in the movie. Living in extremely cold places, they have the ultimate ice power, especially Lof as the leader. Fire Dragon King Ignir, at the moment has shown his real body, and he is fighting Lof hard. The power of ice and fire keeps colliding. The remaining Frost Titans are pinned down by the 4 warriors of Asgard and Fubuki of Hell. Because it was a sneak attack, Lof didn't bring many people. With Fubuki's strength, it won't be long before the battle ends. Luo Tang sat on the edge of the palace wall, without the slightest desire to make a move, but looked towards the end of Bifrost. As early as when Luo Tang and others appeared, Loki left the palace. The opponent's purpose is always to destroy Jotunheim, to prove their own ability, and nothing else. Do you want to stop it? Luo Tang dangled his legs, looking at the end of Bifrost. If you don't stop Loki, just have a little drama and make Loki drop the Bifrost. In a short while, the other party will be able to bring back the Mind Gem. And if he stops, he can gain the trust of Odin, thus gaining the knowledge and power system of Asgard. Odin, who rules the 9 realms, is someone whom even Thanos fears. The knowledge of Asgard, plus the knowledge of Kamar Taj. Perhaps for ordinary people, it is something that is difficult to fully digest in a lifetime. But for Luo Tang, it only needs to be entered into the space-based system. And, he had a hunch. Perhaps with the knowledge of the two, he can figure out the nature of infinite gems and master this power. From the perspective of interests, blocking Loki is the choice to maximize interests. After thinking clearly, Luo Tang jumped off the city wall with both hands. Shua. The rapidly opened space wormhole made him appear next to Loki in an instant. Destroy. Jotunheim. Ha ha ha. Loki twisted the Odin scepter with a ferocious face. On the Bifrost, a beam of energy that reaches the sky erupts. Third princess, your mother is calling you to go home for dinner. Loki, who had a grin on his face, shivered violently, and was almost scared to pee by the voice that suddenly appeared in his ears. Before he could react, Luo Teng flew up and kicked him in the lower back. Boom. The unsuspecting Loki was instantly sent flying to the wall. The light of the colorful divine power flickered rapidly, and the defensive power comparable to that of a divine weapon nearly broke his bones. The face of Heimdall, who was originally desperate, was full of surprise. In Amber's golden pupils, there is an unprecedented color of joy. He is really fortunate that he brought Luo Teng and others back from Bifrost. Otherwise today will be the end of Asgard. The Odin scepter, which lost its supply of divine power, gradually returned to its original position. On Bifrost, the seven-color divine power no longer vibrates and roars. Luo Teng pulled out the Odin scepter and put it directly into the system warehouse. He is not in the habit of leaving weapons for the enemy. Loki struggled to get up from the ground, and took out the casket of ancient winters from his bosom with one hand. With endless tyranny in his eyes, his skin gradually turned into ice blue. Why? Why is everyone helping that idiot Thor? I am the king of Asgard. I am the best successor. Loki stared straight at Luo Teng standing in the center, the cold air escaping from his body. Luo Teng rolled his eyes speechlessly. To be honest, in his eyes, Loki is a completely uneducated brat. He's obviously lived for hundreds of years, but he still doesn't understand shit. Loki, I think I need to teach you a lesson. Luo Teng's face was full of kindness. He is really experienced in educating bear children. Damn. What qualifications do you have to teach me? Loki had a ferocious face, and raised the casket of ancient winters with both hands, releasing endless cold air. The cold air that could freeze everything came, but Luo Teng stood there unmoved. Ripples from the space wormhole rippled in front of him, and the fierce cold air was immediately drawn into the space wormhole. Space-based system. Enter combat mode. The battle mode is turned on, the calculation peak is increased to 11 frequencies, the battle simulation is turned on, the dark energy sensor is turned on, the heat sensor is turned on, the magic power sensor is turned on, the magic database is loaded, and the best fighting method is recommended. Swish. Wings shining with golden light appeared behind Luo Teng. With a wave of his wings, he disappeared directly in place. Angel's speed is famous in the universe, even though he is slightly stronger than Angel's second-generation fighters now. But the flight speed has already reached the level of being able to travel in space. Loki is originally of the Frost Titan bloodline, and the divine power in his body is pitifully less than that of Thor. How can he keep up with his speed? When fighting, pay attention to your back. Luo Teng's voice came from behind Loki. Boom. The fierce whip leg hit Loki's lower back hard. Loki flew out like a rag, and even the casket of ancient winters in his hand fell aside. A sneer appeared on Luo Teng's face, and with a wave of his wings, he came directly in front of Loki. After being attacked, one should defend immediately instead of waiting for the attack to stop. Boom. The head-on-knee bump directly hit Loki's abdomen, causing him to fly upside down again. Despite the severe pain, Loki managed to condense a magic shield behind him with the help of Asgard magic under Luo Teng's reminder. At any rate, he is the son of the Queen of Heaven, Frigga. Even if his power and physique are not good, he still has a good skill in magic. The speed is too slow, and the enemy's attack must come from the front and back. Luo Teng's voice came from above Loki's head, and the same whip leg as before hit Loki's head hard. Boom. Loki fell on Bifrost, but Luo Teng had no intention of letting him go. Boom. 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 The continuous sound of flesh and blood colliding constantly made Heimdall turn his head with a look of resentment. Brutal. It's brutal. Is this a battle? It's just an adult beating a child, okay? Moreover, why do you have to add a sermon every time you make a move? This is a double blow from the body and mental will. Boom. Loki, who was bleeding from all 7 orifices, knelt down on the Bifrost like a pool of mud, and he didn't know how many bones were broken in his body. Duplication magic, mirror magic, astral projection, creating illusions. He has exhausted all means, but these methods, in front of Luo Teng, are like children's toys, vulnerable. Loki, remember, The teacher's name is Luo Tang, and this class is called Socialist Education. Luo Tang squatted in front of Loki with a smile and flicked his fingers. Boom. The loud brain collapsed, and Loki, who couldn't hold on at all, rolled his eyes in an instant and fainted on the Bifrost. After watching the whole process of Luo Tang's violence, Heimdall really wanted to ask him, "Are you a devil? How could normal intelligent life be so cruel?" "Heimdall, I'll leave Loki to you." Luo Tang turned to look at Heimdall, who had been in the audience for a long time. "It's an honor to serve you, Mr. Luo from Earth." As the gatekeeper of the god realm, Heimdall is rigid, but he still has a sense of observation. Teacher Luo put Luo Tang in a good mood. Looking at the opponent's abdomen that was still not fully healed after being stabbed by Loki, he raised his hand and pressed it. A bright green magic light lingers in the palm. The recovery magic driven by dark energy quickly draws away the remaining divine power from the wound and allows the wound to heal extremely quickly. Heimdall's slightly pale face also turned rosy. "Mr. Luo, thank you very much. Small things." Luo Tang waved his left hand, turned and left decisively. Heimdall's bloodstain left on his right hand was directly taken into the system warehouse by him. Heimdall has eyes that can see through the 9 worlds. These eyes are the power given to each other at the genetic level. Think about standing on the Earth. At a glance, you can directly see what is happening in the universe. Who wouldn't want this kind of eyes? Luo Tang has a space-based system. As long as he understands Asgard's power system and analyzes Heimdall's genes, it is not difficult. At that time, slightly improve the angel gene on him? Also Odin's scepter and casket of ancient winters in system warehouse. These 2 things can be called artifacts. If the analysis of the space-based system is completed, it will definitely increase his strength by a large margin. Calculated in this way, this education class is really profitable. ******** In the square of Asgard, Ignir has defeated the Frost Titan Lof. Although the two have similar attainments in terms of magical energy alone, the difference in physical strength is too great. Fubuki from Hell also beheaded several Frost Titans in this battle. To her, blue skin and Frost Titans are no different from monsters. The battle came to an end, but the king of God Odin did not wake up for a long time. Luo Tang knew in his heart that his previous words had already had an effect. Odin won't wake up until Thor is gone, at least. After all, today's Thor is really too immature, and needs enough experience and setbacks to grow. Luo Tang, Ignir, Fubuki from Hell, became the heroes of Asgard. Although Tony Stark was completely a spectator this time, he was still treated as a VIP. Ignir won the friendship of the Asgard Protoss, and immediately began to ask the learned and wise Queen Frigga. He still has doubts about how dragons and humans coexist. Fubuki of Hell mixed with the 4 warriors of Asgard. Although the 4 warriors of Asgard look a little weaker in the movie, in fact, that's just because the opponent is too strong. If Fubuki from Hell can learn to cultivate divine power, his strength will definitely skyrocket. Thor, after everything was over, was sent back to Earth by Jotunheim again to continue serving his sentence. Loki, who was paralyzed, was put in a dark prison, waiting for Odin to wake up and find out. As for Luo Tang and Tony Stark, the two went straight into Asgard's library. The ancient library contained the knowledge of tens of thousands of years. The space-based system frantically scanned the content of every page of the book and entered it into the database. From the origin of the 9 realms, we can see the establishment of Asgard, and from the history of Odin's father Buli's battle, we can see the secrets of the infinite rough stone. After reading these all the way, he just started to read books about Asgard's power system. The speed at which Luo Tang turned the page surprised Tony Stark. You know, after 2 days of sleepless nights, he has only read 3 books on cosmology and space theory. The huge library, the 2 of them have been in it for half a month. For half a month, Tony Stark slept less than 3 hours a day, and only read more than 20 books. As for Luo Tang, as early as 7 days ago, all the contents of the book were collected. The rest of the time, he's been parsing Odin's scepter and casket of ancient winters. Casket of ancient winters is okay. Under the analysis of the space-based system, in less than 2 days, the casket of ancient winters had no more secrets to speak of. Luo Tang's current manipulation of frost is directly out of the category of magic, and it is not an exaggeration to call it a magic trick. The Odin scepter is more troublesome. As a weapon of the king of God Odin, this thing draws on cosmic energy. It is even matched with mechanisms such as Bifrost and Asgard Energy Defense Wall, which can be said to be the crystallization of Asgard's highest wisdom. No matter how fast the calculation speed of the space-based system is, it still takes a lot of time to face the accumulation of tens of thousands of years of civilization. Ding, tourist Ignil. The purpose of the trip has been achieved. You can return to the original world at any time, or wait for the expiration of 1 month to return to the original world. Ding. After completing the tourist reception, the host can choose any ability, bloodline, or item from Ignil. Luo Tang, who was analyzing the Odin scepter, had a smile on his face when he heard the system prompt. As early as more than 10 days ago, Ignir went to Jotunheim and Moose Belheim successively, and he must have got the answer he wanted. Ignir. What should I copy? Luo Tang rubbed his chin and muttered. System, if I choose Ignir's bloodline, will I become a dragon? Luo Tang frowned and asked about the system of Wanji Travel Agency. Ignir's strength mainly comes from 2 aspects. On the one hand, its tyrannical dragon magic, whether it is dragon flame or some forbidden fire magic, is extremely lethal. On the other hand, it is its physique. The physique of the giant dragon is completely foul, and its strength and defense are terrifying. And both of these aspects come from Ignir's blood. The host doesn't need to worry. The system can remove the dragon-like characteristics and perfectly integrate with the angel gene while retaining its bloodline magic ability and physical strength. Not bad. Then copy Ignir's bloodline. Luo Tang nodded. He didn't want to become a Western dragon with golden wings. That appearance, just thinking about it makes people have the urge to delete the account and start again. Ding. Remove the dragon-like characteristic of the dragon blood, automatically improve the gene. The improvement is complete, and start integrating. The sound of the system came. The angel gene in Luo Tang's body boiled instantly. Fiery energy poured into every cell, and the hot feeling like being in magma invaded the whole body. Fortunately, this feeling comes and goes quickly. In just a few seconds, the hot feeling turned into a comfortable feeling like soaking in a hot spring. Feeling the surging power emerging from his body, the corners of his mouth curved slightly. Space-based system. Check my current genetic status and physical parameters. Detecting. The test results show that the dark energy reserve has increased by 51%, cell activity has increased by 110%, physical strength has increased by 150%, anti-strike ability has increased by 100%, bone density has increased by 90%, resilience has increased by 20%, and nerve response has increased by 40%. The upper limit of the calculation speed of the space-based system has increased by 36%, and the current limit calculation speed is 15 times. The space-based system reported in detail the benefits of obtaining Ignir's blood. The smile on Luo Tang's face grew bigger and bigger. In terms of strength, it's okay. Before, he could tear the truck with his hands. A little bigger would be just icing on the cake. What excites him the most is the enhancement of the body's defense and the enhancement of the calculation speed of the space-based system. When he first acquired the angel gene, he could barely withstand hot weapons such as pistols. After improving the body genes and integrating new elements, he has been able to withstand small rockets and a certain degree of explosion. Now double the defense again. I'm afraid that if he stands up and let the missiles bombard him, if he doesn't have a certain equivalent, don't even think about scratching his skin. There is also the upper limit of the calculation speed of the space-based system. 15 frequencies. This has surpassed Ge Shaolun's 12 frequencies. As long as he studies the void theory thoroughly and creates a void engine, he dares to stand up to Thanos. And from this step, not far away, Odin scepter analysis is completed, and the relevant data is automatically entered into the database. Just when Luo Tang was very excited, good news came from the space-based system again. The Odin scepter, Asgard's highest wisdom crystallization, has been analyzed, representing the knowledge of Asgard, which has been completely entered into the database by the space-based system. In time, when the things in the database are fully utilized, his strength is bound to usher in another surge. Luo Tang was all smiles, and looked at the sleeping Tony Stark. Picking up the other party's collar, he walked out of the library gate. Rumble. The stone gate engraved with ancient totems was pushed open. The king of God Odin and Queen Frigga stood quietly outside the gate of the library, smiling as they watched Luo Tang and Tony Stark come out. Return your things to you. Luo Tang threw the scepter and casket of ancient winters to Odin. Once any treasure is understood by the space-based system, it will be of no value to him. With the system, he can do exactly anything the Odin scepter and casket of ancient winters can. However, Odin's bearing is indeed extraordinary. It woke up after Thor returned to the earth, but he never came to ask for the scepter, and let Luo Tang study it. This is not something ordinary people can do. Luo, you are an amazing wise man. Odin held the scepter and looked at Luo Tang with unabashed admiration. Thank you. Luo Tang shrugged. With all the knowledge of Asgard in his mind, he deserves the title of wise man. Luo, in the name of the king of God Odin, I sincerely invite you to become the master of the 9 realms. Take charge of teaching the next crown prince. If I fall and the crown prince has not yet grown up, you can hold the power of Asgard. Odin posed extremely low, and when he came up, he threw a blockbuster. Tony Stark had a masked expression on his face. He is no longer a novice who has just arrived. After some knowledge, he knows exactly how powerful Asgard is. Today's 9 realms are all surrendered to Odin. Thank you for your kindness, but I still like to stay on my own 1-acre 3-point land. As for Thor, I will help you adjust it when I have time. Luo Tang shrugged and directly declined Odin's invitation. Luo Tang has always been very self-aware. Even though his magic tricks are useless, he can hang Loki up and beat him. That's just because Loki is so badass. Think about holding an Odin scepter. You can be hammered into a fool by Thor, and holding a mind gem, you can be beaten by Hulk even if you don't know it. You know how hot this thing is. In the final analysis, the 3 princesses rely on their intelligence quotient instead of force. For mortals, although it is terrifyingly strong, it is really nothing compared to the strong in the universe. There are countless strong people in the 9 realms. Luo Tang has really accepted the title of Master of the 9 Realms. God knows how many people will come to make trouble. And, after Odin's death, the power of Asgard? This bad old man, don't you think he doesn't know death god Hela? That girl is not ordinary grumpy. At this stage, if he doesn't use reality gem, it's really possible that he won't be able to. Tony Stark had an incredulous look on his face. Facing such supreme rights and honors, he really never thought that Luo Tang would reject them straight away. You know, with the title of Master of the 9 Realms, even when Odin was still alive, he was in existence below 1 person and above 10,000 people. As expected of a wise man who can read through Asgard's collection, your noble character should not be tarnished by fame, fortune and power. From now on, Thor will entrust you to you. Odin bowed slightly. Fei was not angry, but showed unparalleled respect. Odin, as the king of God, is well aware of what happens in the library. You know, even he has only read less than 1/5 of Asgard's collection of books, and many of the contents have long been forgotten. A person who has read through the Asgard collection and is not swayed by power and fame. What kind of terrible wisdom will you have in the future? And Loki. Teacher Luo, although that kid Loki is a bit rebellious, he's not bad at all. The queen of the day, Frigga, spoke urgently. To her, Thor is her child, and so is Loki. Well, okay, teaching 1 is teaching, teaching 2 is also teaching. Luo Tang readily agreed when he heard what Frigga said. Teaching the 3 princesses is much more interesting than teaching Thor. Moreover, if 2 people get together, Ji-Mei and Hammergod fell in love and killed each other? Thank you so much. The Queen of Heaven, Fuli Jia, saluted generously. Luo Tang nodded, accepted the gift calmly, and then bid farewell to Odin and Frigga. After more than 10 minutes, he and Tony Stark came to the end of Bifrost with Odin personally sending them off. Fubuki from Hell has already been waiting here. Mr. Luo, Ignir is missing from the 9 realms, Heimdall said solemnly. It's okay, it just returned to its own world. Luo Tang waved his hand and explained. Ignir chose to leave the Marvel world after the purpose of traveling was achieved. If Heimdall could see it, that would be hell. Did the dragon Ignir come from multiple dimensions? Odin asked. Almost. Luo Tang shrugged, without explaining in detail the difference between the multidimensional universe and different worlds. After saying goodbye to Odin and others again, Heimdall opened the Bifrost to the earth for them. Odin and Frigga looked at each other, with a bit of shock still hidden in their eyes. The multidimensional universe, after reaching their level, is no secret. Possibly taking someone from a multidimensional universe to another universe is simply unheard of. Inviting Luo Chang to be Thor and Loki's mentor must be the wisest decision I've ever made in my life, Odin said with emotion. They will thank you. Diva Frigga nodded with a smile, agreeing with Odin. Heimdall turned around stiffly, trying to maintain the image of a cold male god. He has seen the beatings of the society with his own eyes, and he only hopes that Loki and Thor can live well. After all, that tutor Luo is not just irritable. The trip to Asgard broadened Tony Stark's horizons. Originally, his eyes were higher than the top, and he was in a dissolute manner. After returning to the Earth, he went straight into the laboratory and couldn't come out. Vow to study the Mark armor that can fight against the civilization of the universe. After Fubuki from Hell returned to the travel agency, he was still addicted to cultivation and couldn't extricate himself. Asgard's cultivation system, to put it bluntly, is a method of absorbing energy from the universe and strengthening oneself. In just half a month, Fubuki's strength has improved a lot. After seeing the hope of surpassing the tornado, this girl naturally began to exercise even more frantically. Luo Tang lay leisurely on the sofa, giving Fuishui some pointers from time to time. Although the knowledge of the Asgard civilization, the space-based system is still being sorted out and summarized. But compared to Fuishui, who only learned to practice divine power for half a month, he is definitely a master-level mentor. After Ignir left, the visitor list had been refreshed again. Just seeing the names on the tourist list, Luo Tang was speechless. System. Why does Tourist C have 3 people from the world of the Super Seminary? Because of the tourist Hexie's publicity, Wanji Travel Agency has aroused the strong curiosity of the people in this world. Those who go to Nima are curious about the travel agency. Are they curious about me? Luo Tang spoke to the system. Looking at the information on the tourist list, he was speechless for a long time. Tourist list Kesha from the world of Super Seminary. Angel is the head of the 3 kings, the king of heavenly blades. Purpose of trip. Meet Hexie's male god, a sea-level tourist. Cold Ice. From the world of Super Theological Seminary, one of the 3 kings of Angel, the king of Apocalypse. Purpose of trip. Meet Hexie's male god, a sea-level tourist. Ronning from the world of Super Seminary, Mei Luo Tianting high-ranking angel. Purpose of trip. Meet Hexie's male god, a sea-level tourist. General Bud from the world of the pupil of the Red Pupil, the pillar of the empire, known as the strongest empire. Purpose of travel. Obtaining information on night raids, sea-level tourist. Shirai Sunspot from the Forbidden World, a level 4 space traveler. Purpose of travel. Looking for cheats for seductive sisters, D-level tourist. Both C-level tourists and D-level tourists have a chance to refresh. Every time it is refreshed, 1 to 5 tourists of the 2 levels will appear randomly. This time, 4 C-level tourists were refreshed on the tourist list. Normally speaking, it is already considered good luck. But all 3 are females from the world of Super Seminary. What the hell is Angel? Moreover, can their travel purposes not be so unified? Meet Hexie's male god. He's not a giant panda in the zoo. What a mess. Luo Tang rolled his eyes speechlessly, and was about to close the tourist interface when he suddenly noticed a problem with the tourist information. The first of the 3 kings, the Skyblade King Keisha. One of the 3 kings Apocalypse Wang Lingbing? When she came last time, he was just preparing to rebel. To overthrow Hua Yi so soon. System. What's the situation? Luo Tang rolled over and sat up on the sofa. The time flow rate of each world is not the same. When traveling, the time flow rate of the 2 worlds is automatically synchronized. After the trip, the time flow rate of each world returns to normal. You are awesome. Luo Tang muttered speechlessly, his face full of egg pain. What the hell, it's only been less than 2 months on his side, who knows how long it has been on Hexie's side. This has entered the era of the 3 kings. Take a list and ask about Hexie's current situation. Luo Tang scratched his cheek with one hand. He glanced at Fuyuki, who was sweating profusely in the living room, wearing only a pair of hot pants and a camisole. He felt that it would be better to slow down for a few days. If the order is accepted, neither Kesha nor Lingbing can explain it. President. What do you want to say? Chuzu's keen perception caught Luo Tang's gaze, and with a provocative gaze, he stopped practicing. There was a little temptation on the sweat-stained cheeks, and there seemed to be a crime-provoking smell in the air. I want to say, how strong do you want to be? Luo Tang lay down on the sofa as if he didn't see the provocation. Lonely men and widows share a room. Fuishui deliberately seduced him, not once or twice. Otherwise, the other party wouldn't be dressed like this, so he practiced carelessly in the living room on the 2nd floor. This kind of dress can be worn out 800 times a day. To become the number 1 S-class hero of the Heroes Association, surpassing Tornado. The alluring look on Fubuki's face dissipated, and after a pause, he hugged his knees and sat on the floor. Number 1 is a bit difficult, but it's easy to surpass her. But after surpassing her, what do you want to do? Do not know. Living in the shadow of a tornado all the time just makes you lose yourself in power. So, Is that why you have been refusing to teach me directly? Yes. The strong are not only powerful. Luo Tang yawned lazily and covered his face with the newspaper. If he didn't cover it up, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to hold back his laughter. Fu Shui, a young girl with a royal body and a girlish heart, shouldn't be too easy to fool. He led him astray in a few sentences. The conversation with Wanji travel agency just now made Luo Tang realize that receiving a tourist well may bring him more customers. It's like entertaining Hexi, attracting Kesha and Lingbing. If Fubuki is settled, can you lure Saotama to him? But to help Chu Shui improve his strength, he still had to correct the little girl's mind first. Fubuki, who has never experienced metamorphosis, would easily go astray if he suddenly gained powerful power. He didn't want a pretty little girl to become a villain boss. There is a place on Earth called Kamar Taj. You may gain something by talking to the Ancient One magician. Luo Tang snapped his fingers, and the ripples of space wormholes appeared in the room. The Ancient One magician is a master figure who guides people to do good. This kind of free labor is not in vain. Fubuki nodded, put on his clothes, and walked into the space wormhole. Dwang. 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 Before Luo Tang squinted for a while, there was a knock on the door like a drum coming from the first floor. Followed by, there are disputes and pleading voices. Big brother. Let me go. Your dear brother doesn't want to die yet. Loki. This is the father's will, if you still want to return to Asgard. I must have lost my mind to bring you here myself. With his hands bound, Loki begged Thor to let him go. Although Thor also loves Loki, but in order to return to Asgard, he clings to Loki's handcuffs. Both of them were also sealed by Odin, and ordinary handcuffs were enough to restrict their actions. Nick Fury looked at the two who were still arguing, and sighed deeply. His intuition told him that the two were in trouble. Wow. The shutters of the travel agency were pulled open. Luo Tang looked at the three uninvited guests at the door with an unfriendly expression. Who knocked on the door just now? He. Nick Fury decisively sold Thor. Seeing Luo Tang, Loki on the side shuddered, and also pointed at Thor. Halo. My father sent me to visit you. Thor pulled out a harmless smile and pulled Loki to rush into the travel agency. Don't even mention the violent knock on the door just now. Now, you should call me a teacher, or a mentor. Luo Tang curled his lips in displeasure. With a wave of one hand, the pressure exerted by the Wanji travel agency system came to Thor. Thor, who had a casual face, stood stiffly at the gate, as if he had been immobilized, unable to move at all. Hey. Luo. You can't treat me like this, we are friends, Thor said with a frustrated face. Now, I will teach you the first lesson. The theme of this lesson is respect. Luo Tang patted Thor on the shoulder. Thor, who couldn't help himself, walked to the side of the gate with a stiff body. As if welcoming guests, the body stood upright. Good afternoon, tutor. Nice to see you again. Seeing that it was inevitable, Loki smiled decisively and bowed in salute. I have to say, compared to the one-sided Thor, a person like Loki has a much higher EQ. Yes, very polite, but a bit hypocritical. Your second lesson, I have already figured out what to teach. Luo Tang glanced at the interesting Loki appreciatively. Wait, mentor, I want to ask, isn't Thor's first lesson socialist education? Loki looked constipated. Based on the horror he has experienced, he must let Thor experience his feelings. He decisively sold his brother again. Teach students according to their aptitude. Thor is different from you. Luo Tang said with a smile. Then, master, what is my second lesson? Loki swallowed, with obvious fear in his eyes. Sincere. With a wave of Luo Tang's hand, Loki's handcuffs were taken off. Turning around and walking towards the travel agency, he continued, next, you have to be responsible for entertaining the customers who come in from the travel agency, and tell them sincerely that this is a fraud company. Loki looked confused. Fraud company? Is this a travel agency in He Luo Tang? He is very interested. No, if He is too strong, he will also be beaten. Beatings from society. Interesting way of teaching. Nick Fury applauded softly. Director Nick Fury, you actually came here in person today. What's the matter? Luo Tang sat on the sofa and shook his head as soon as he finished asking. Let me see for myself. The way you speak is really unfavorable to people. Luo Tang's eyes lit up white, and the space-based system began to calculate various causal relationships. Because of Thor's hammer, and the sudden emergence of the Asgard civilization. It gave Nick Fury a strong sense of crisis. This guy has started working on Tesseract. He even wanted to study the magic seal on Natasha Romanoff. Mass production of magical warriors like Natasha Romanoff. It's just a pity that even with the magic theory provided by Natasha Romanoff, he still failed. Natasha Romanoff is now sent to Russia to obtain the results of gamma-ray biological genetic research. Nick Fury had no choice but to come to the door by himself. So, dealing with people like you is really annoying. Luo Tang curled his lips, looked at Nick Fury who was sitting on pins and needles, and said angrily. Mr. Luo, you should be clear that the Earth today is too weak to withstand any wind and waves. Nick Fury was embarrassed. He really hates the feeling of being completely seen through. This feeling is too bad for an agent full of secrets. Director Nick Fury, a large part of the reason why the universe is constantly at war is that you guys are constantly engaged in an arms race. But we need to protect our strength. Nonsense. Those guys in the universe also said the same thing. Besides, with Captain Marvel and Carol Danvers around, why don't you find a better reason to fool people? Nick Fury clenched his fists tightly, the pupil of the only remaining right eye trembling slightly. As the king of agents, he shouldn't have shown such an expression that reveals his mental activities. But Captain Marvel, as his biggest secret, was revealed outright. How could he be as indifferent as before? Be aware that Captain Marvel's archives do not exist with any electronic records. The only person who knows she exists is Nick Fury himself. Nick Fury was yelled at by Luo Tang and left the travel agency in silence. Loki kept listening to the conversation between the two of them. After Nick Fury left, he couldn't help asking curious questions. Mentor, is Captain Marvel very powerful? Even if the two of you recover your divine power, she can still beat you with one hand. Luo Tang said something casually, turned around and went up to the second floor. Loki and Thor are still just growing up. Especially Thor, the god of Asgard, grows stronger with age. This guy is still a hammer god, and he can't even use his own strength well. Facing Captain Marvel, lay dead in minutes. Loki looked at Luo Tang's back, a gleam flashed in his eyes, and he ran away. Boom. There was a wave of waves at the gate of the travel agency. Loki was knocked back solidly by an invisible wall. In Luo Tang's travel agency, even if Thanos came wearing the Infinity Gauntlet, he had to be obedient, let alone Loki. Wiping the nosebleed from his nose, he shook his arm angrily. Thor stood with a stiff face and couldn't move, but his eyes were full of schadenfreude. There's nothing more enjoyable than watching Loki goofy. Oh, was that a non-actual performance just now? It really looks like it. A slightly old female voice came from outside the gate of the travel agency. The gray-haired old lady, covered in jewels, walked into the travel agency. Thor, who was stiff, simply bowed at 90 degrees. Boy, you're welcome. Oh, this sexy mustache, dazzling blonde hair, and strong muscles. The old lady looked at Thor with appreciation. The hands full of wrinkles and age spots caressed Thor's chest, with the attitude of an old hooligan. Ahem. Loki almost couldn't help laughing. How long had he not seen Thor's expression? The expression that ate a dead fly, so happy. Your eyes are really sharp, but you lack a smile, which is not attractive to women, the old lady said to herself. Thor, who originally wanted to kill, moved the muscles on his face uncontrollably. The smiling face that seemed to be forcibly squeezed was extremely stiff. Loki's cheeks were bruised and purple. No need to guess, he knew. There must be something wrong with Luo Tang's hands and feet. Young man, you are so handsome. The old lady turned to look at Loki after teasing Thor. It is undeniable that the appearance of the three princesses is still good. Obasan said he was quite satisfied. Cough. Thanks. For your compliment. Loki said with a stiff face. As soon as the words fell, the old lady took a stride and grabbed Loki's right hand. The old fingers, like chicken feet, kept drawing circles in Loki's palm. Young man, how about coming with me, just one night, $10,000, no, 100,000. You're joking. Loki was about to throw up. If he didn't know that Luo Tang was always paying attention to the situation here, he would definitely kill this old pervert with one punch. No, I'm serious. Do you think 100,000 is too little? 200,000. This is already the price of a star. Hello. Can I apply for a group trip here? Caw. Thor made another bone-breaking 90-degree bow. The weird and stiff smile and abrupt bow on the face made the little girl who had just entered the door tremble with fright. Definitely yes. Let me introduce you to our travel agency's project. When Loki saw the savior, he hurriedly broke free from the old lady and went up to him. The unwilling old lady left a business card with only her phone number printed on it, and reluctantly walked out of the travel agency. Before leaving, he grabbed Thor's vitals and took advantage of it. "Beautiful lady, where do you want to travel?" Loki asked with a smile on his face, relieved. "I want to go to Hawaii, but you know, when it comes to car travel, the people there are too much of a ripoff." The girl answered Loki's words off guard. "Hawaii? It's a beautiful place, trust us, we'll give you." Boom. With a muffled sound, Loki, who had just sat on the high stool for guests, bounced quickly. With a look of extreme pain on his face, he clamped his legs tightly, supported the table with one hand, and covered the chrysanthemum with the other. God, this is cruel. The little girl saw a 20-centimeter lifting hydraulic steel column on the high stool, and looked at Loki with pity. Granted, she was drawn to Loki and Thor's good looks. But the impact of this scene is really too great. If such a large part goes in, I'm afraid the anus will prolapse. Fearing that she would be blackmailed, the little girl quietly slipped out of the travel agency. Shit. 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 Loki was in so much pain that he patted the table angrily. Thor's cheeks were rosy, and he felt that his life had reached its peak. He will remember this moment forever. Don't swear, the first warning, the second time, the punishment will start, and remember the mission requirements, be sincere. Luo Tang's voice came faintly. Loki wanted to die already. The newly renovated travel agency looks a little bit taller than before. On the street, people come in from time to consult tourism issues. The customers who kept coming to the door suffered from Thor and Loki. Thor, with a stiff smile on his face, kept bowing, feeling like his waist was about to break. And Loki is even worse. As long as you say the wrong thing, or say something false and deceitful, disaster will definitely happen. Holding a water cup and pouring it vigorously, unable to close the mouth, unable to put down the water cup, and almost drowning himself to death are all pediatrics. The most frightening thing is that he was almost controlled by Luo Tang, calling the old lady who left the phone. The catastrophic experience caused Loki and Thor to suffer physically and mentally. I just feel that they have lost all faith in this life today. What are you guys doing? Fubuki from Hell returned to New York at some point. Standing at the gate of the travel agency, looking at Thor who bowed at 90 degrees, his eyes were full of doubts. As far as she knew, this tall and thick guy was very proud. How can you be so polite? Oh, girl, you've come to the wrong place. We're a fraud travel agency that exists only to cheat money. Loki greeted him with a sincere face, and there was already a bit of crying in his words. Fubuki's complexion changed, and under the control of psychokinesis, a cloud of wind quickly condensed in his palm, and he slapped Loki on the face. During the trip to Asgard, she and Loki never met each other. Boom. The unsuspecting Loki flew out like a rag bag, and was printed directly on the wall. Unless the travel agency has system rule protection. I'm afraid that with the force of this slap, Loki will not be able to stop after smashing through several walls. Thor gave the other party a sympathetic look expressionlessly. He knew very well how violent this lovely-looking beautiful girl in front of him was. Don't insult the travel agency of the president, otherwise. Fubuki clenched his fists, viciously threatening Loki, who could only lie on the ground and moan. A line of clear tears slid down the corner of his eyes. Loki wept silently. Hearing Fu Shui's words and looking at Thor's eyes, how could he not guess that Fu Shui and Luo Tang knew each other? Chui Shui, are you back? Luo Tang lay on the railing lazily. For Loki, who suffered an indiscriminate disaster, he said that it would be polite not to applaud. Although the purpose of letting Loki do this is to reduce the frequency of ordinary people coming to the door, but this guy has too many small thoughts. Ugly boy, he owes education. Well, President, Ancient One Magician said, I have found my own way. With a bright smile on his face, Fubuki looked up at the stairs. Compared with the cold and seductive smile of the past, Fubuki of at the moment is obviously a lot more sunny. If you hadn't seen it with your own eyes, it would be hard to believe that a person's temperament would change so much in such a short period of time. I see. Luo Tang smiled, really happy for Fu Shui. People who live in the shadow of others are always unhappy. What a pity for a beautiful little girl with a sullen face all day long. Then President, can you teach me how to become stronger? Definitely, come to the third floor. Luo Tang turned and walked towards the third floor. Regarding how to make Fubuki stronger, he had actually thought about it for a long time. Fubuki is a rare type of super ability holder. Through psychokinesis, he can easily fly in the air, control the wind, or make objects float. And the divine power it cultivates can also slowly enhance its super ability and physique. To strengthen the physique is a kind of behavior of abandoning the basics and chasing the last. After all, Fubuki is essentially a magician hero. What she lacks now are effective means of attack and means of quickly avoiding the frontal battlefield. Lie down. Luo Teng stood in front of the soft couch, pointing his hands in the air. The cold air caused the temperature in the room to drop sharply, and even frost appeared on the windows. A complex magic circle with a blue-white crystal circuit, and a magic circle that shone with azure luster and filled with strong spiritual power, began to appear in the room simultaneously. President. Can this make me surpass my sister? Fubuki looked up at the two magic seals floating in the room, with a little expectation on her pretty face. Your ability comes from psychokinesis. At its root, whether your mental power is strong or not, accounts for a large proportion. While the spiritual magic engraving continuously enhances your original spiritual power, it can also provide unknown growth. The ice magic engraving can allowing you to have the most direct psychokinesis attack mode. Your strength will probably increase by about 10 times. Luo Teng explained the functions of the two magic seals, and the look of anticipation on Chu Xuechao's face became even more intense. The icy cold air and surging spiritual energy were sealed in the small room. It took more than 10 minutes before Luo Teng engraved the magic of ice on Fu Shui's body completely. After all, it is a large ice attribute magic engraving that can instantly destroy a city under full force. Its complexity is more than 100 times that of ordinary magic engravings. As for the magic engraving to enhance and increase mental power, relatively speaking, it is undoubtedly much simpler than the ice magic engraving, and it was superimposed on the ice magic engraving in just a few minutes. With these two imprints, Fubuki will have the combat power of an S-class hero in a short time. And with the accumulation of time, the continuous honing and improvement of mental power, coupled with the method of divine power cultivation he originally learned, it is not difficult to surpass the second-ranked S-level tornado. Try ability? Luo Teng sat on the sofa and raised his chin at Fu Shui. Okay, Chu Shui replied, and stood in front of the window. Under the infusion of divine power, the magic engraving on her back shone brightly. Raising both hands, the bitter cold wind swept across New York. It was still in New York in October weather, and snowflakes began to fall in an instant. The generous snowflakes covered a radius of more than 10 miles, causing countless passers-by to raise their heads in doubt. Okay, so strong, Chu Shui murmured foolishly. She just used less than 1/10 of her strength. Unexpectedly, combined with her supernatural ability, she could directly change the terrifying degree of the celestial phenomena in a radius of more than 10 miles. If you condense this cold air, any enemy will be instantly frozen. Ding. Blowing snow from tourist hell. The purpose of the trip has been achieved. You can return to the original world at any time, or wait for the expiration of 1 month to return to the original world. Ding. After completing the tourist reception, the host can choose any ability, bloodline, and item of Fubuki from hell. The familiar system prompt sounded. Before Luo Teng had time to choose, Fu Shui swooped down and hugged him tightly. I can definitely become an S-class hero, definitely, Fubuki cheered excitedly. Well, for sure. Luo Teng grinned and stepped back subconsciously. Fu Shui blushed a little, pretending to let go of Luo Teng naturally. Gently twirling the broken hair around the ears back, with a bit of girlish shyness, Fu Shui spoke again. President, thank you. Well, it should be. Luo Teng touched the tip of his nose, and responded vaguely. President, can I take a photo with you? Fu Shui's eyes were a bit sly. Definitely can. Luo Teng nodded, completely ignoring the gaze that looked like a little fox. President, come closer, come closer. You are out of the range of the camera. Have you ever taken a photo with someone? Turn your head away. Hold your arms over. Why are you avoiding me? Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Under the continuous guidance of Fu Shui, the two took more than 10 photos in a row. The intimate posture in the photo is completely like a couple. If it wasn't for Luo Teng's constant determination not to approach him, Chuzu's whole body might be stuck to him. President, I will treasure it carefully. Fu Shui stuffed the phone into his pocket with one hand, bowed slightly, and put his pretty face in front of Luo Teng. Well, you should go back, the Fubuki team is still waiting for you. Anyway, I've been waiting for many days, it's not too late. President. What? Can I still come? Can I see you again? Well, I will take your order again when I see it again. Luo Tang glanced aside slightly, looking a little guilty. To be honest, although Chushui is not as perfect as Hexi, she is still a rare oriental beauty. It's just that he, who is only thinking about Hexi now, really dare not have anything to do with Chushui. None of them have been fully settled yet, so if you step on two boats, don't you feel that you are not cooling down fast enough? Then it's a deal. Hearing Luo Tang's answer, Fu Shui nodded in satisfaction, shook the phone in his hand, blinked his right eye playfully, then walked back into the rippling space gate with his head held high. Ding! Fubuki from Tourist Hell has returned to the world of One Punch Superman. Huh. Seeing Chu Shui leave, Luo Tang couldn't help letting out a long breath. Thinking back to the photo they took together just now, he couldn't help but put on a slightly awkward look on his face. Is it too close? If Hexi saw it, he probably wouldn't be able to see it. They are not from the same world. I guess there will be no chance of seeing each other again in this lifetime. Forget it. Luo Tang scratched his cheek. For some reason, he had a bad premonition in his heart. Fubuki still has one chance to choose, which is useless. After spending a long time in a daze, he just looked at the system again. For him, the only useful thing about Fubuki is the super ability to control psychokinesis. System, I choose psychokinesis super ability. Ding. Psychokinesis has a low degree of matching with the host. The gene is automatically improved, the improvement is complete, and the integration begins. Whether a thing like a superpower is strong or not depends entirely on the user. After Luo Tang copied Fu Shui's ability, although he hadn't tried it, he was sure. As long as he is willing, he can instantly condense a super large tornado in New York and destroy all buildings. Ability, divine power, magic power, cosmic energy. No matter how many names you change, except for the nuances, they can all be collectively referred to as dark energy. In the vast universe, matter known to mankind only accounts for about 4.9% of the total mass of the universe. In addition, substances that humans cannot see and understand account for about 26.8%. Dark energy accounts for about 68.3%. Ability, magic power, cosmic energy, divine power and other things are all included in this 68.3%. The only difference is their respective proportions. The dark energy used by the angels is actually not 68.3% of the whole, but a small part of it. It's just that angels use and involve more than things like magic power and abilities. Luo Tang has a space-based system. Basically, every time a different energy is obtained, the sum of the energy it can control will be greater. If it can reach 68.3%, he dares to say that he is not even a god of creation. The universe has completely become his energy-based station. Supported by enough energy, he can destroy the world in an instant. Not simple destruction like genocide, but directly reducing the entire world to particles. Not bad. Luo Tang smacked his lips and turned to look at the Wanji tourist system. Receive sea-level tourist Ignier, increase experience by 20%. Fubuki, who received the D-level Hell, only increased the experience by 10%. Accumulate 30% of the experience. If you only receive sea level, you only need to receive 4 more people to upgrade. The last time the system was upgraded, it was able to receive 2 tourists at the same time. If you upgrade again, it is impossible to just increase the reception quota. Tisk. Isn't this forcing me to choose Angel? Luo Tang scratched his chin with a bit of displeasure on his face. Look at the last member of the sea level, General Bude, he passed it without any hesitation. Loyalty to the point of stupidity, this kind of person is respectable and pathetic. Accepting the other party's order will not only make life difficult for the little girls in the Night Raid organization, but also make life difficult for him. System, I'll take the travel orders for Keisha and Lingbing. With a thought, Luo Tang took the order from the two. As for Ronning, don't stay where it's cool, that kind of old temptress, even if she takes one more look at her, she will feel uncomfortable. Turning his head to look at the gate of the travel agency, Luo Tang was slightly taken aback. Nima. He is now on the 3rd floor. Boom, boom, when, boom. There was a sound of punching and kicking from downstairs. Luo Tang covered his face with one hand, and he had a clear perception of the absolute control over the travel agency. Loki got hit twice again, the 1st floor of the travel agency. Wearing angel armor and a black cloak, Liang Bing stepped on Loki's chest. Black hair. Is Hexi's male god you? Ahem. God. Angel. Please forgive my ignorance, who is Hexi? Loki, who fell on the ground, had a painful expression on his face, and felt that he had suffered 8 lifetimes of bad luck. He is always beaten for Mao. Thor on the side looked at the 2 angels with white wings in front of him with cold sweat. At this moment, he was extremely grateful that he had blonde hair. In the travel agency, the 2 ordinary people who were talking to Loki were already too scared to move. For them, Angel is just a legendary creature. Wrong type? Liang Bing looked back at Keisha suspiciously. Keisha clasped her hands together, frowning, and activated the Skyblade system. White light enveloped her eyes. She looked at Thor and Loki, but found a special layer of dark energy that she had never seen before. The powerful dark energy protected the 2 of them, making it completely impossible to detect. Looking at the 2 terrified ordinary people on the ground again, she got the information she wanted in an instant. It's not them, Keisha said lightly, and looked up at the stairs. My Hexie is gentle. Luo Tang leaned on the railing and sighed faintly. He hit people as soon as he came to the door, and even scared 2 ordinary people. It seems that Keisha and Liang Bing are not good people. Be reasonable. The purpose of their trip is really just to see him, not to teach him a lesson? Luo Tang curled his lips, and a faint white light was also shining in his eyes. 2 beams of dark energy poured into the bodies of 2 ordinary people. In just a moment, the 2 walked out of the travel agency as if nothing happened. It was as if he had completely forgotten what had just happened. TCH, you are Hexie's male god. Liang Bing lifted his chin slightly, and looked at Luo Tang with a lazy face full of arrogance. It's me. Luo Tang shrugged and said casually. What kind of technology was that just now? Keisha kept looking at the 2 ordinary people who joined the crowd. If she judged correctly, the memories of the 2 ordinary people have been tampered with. Binary expansion regression frame technique, through manipulation of the hippocampus, effectively erases traumatic memories. Can it be applied to Angel? Yes, but Angel's genes and brain domains are far more complex than those of ordinary people, and the long life has brought Angel a long memory. It will take longer to use this technology. Luo Tang waved to the 2, turned and walked to the 2nd floor. Kesha followed first. Liang Bing looked at her sister in a daze. This script is different from what was agreed. Didn't it mean to test to see if the other party can match Hexie? What about the test? Just gone. This queen hit the wrong person. I apologize to you, goodbye. Liang Bing bowed his head and said something to Loki, then turned around and hurriedly followed Keisha's footsteps. WTF. Loki cursed inwardly. Hit him, and that's it. He is the prince of Asgard. Is the king of God Odin's son. Did you dare to say a word when you were beaten? Thor, speechless, gave Loki a wishful look. He has already surrendered to his younger brother's luck. In comparison, he is really lucky today. Let's talk now. Keisha went up to the 2nd floor and asked again immediately. Definitely. Luo Tang invited the 2 to sit down on the sofa on the 2nd floor. With a wave of the hand, the magic of the water system is activated, and the teapot is filled with clear springs. After heating the water with fire magic, he added tea, and he poured a cup for each of them. Kesha crossed her legs and sat on the sofa. Although her face barely maintained a calm expression, her index finger tapping the armrest of the sofa proved that she was not as calm as she appeared on the surface. It's ice cold. This girl was looking for fault just now, but when she saw Luo Tang's magic tricks, she frequently showed an interested smile. Liang Bing's curiosity is the most important among Angel's 3 kings. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to study void and space genes. What do I need to pay? Keisha frowned. The Mei Luo Tian family has not been established for a long time, but she already has the majesty of a superior. No, but there is a difficulty and a hidden danger in applying the dual expansion and regression framework technology to Angel. What is it? For example, if you want to apply this technology on your body, the person who uses the technology must have a system with a faster calculation speed than the Tien-Ren system. This is the difficulty of completely connecting the Tien-Tien blade system. The hidden danger is the memory will be completely presented in front of the people controlled by technology. Luo Tang explained the technique of binary expansion and regression frame. Seeing Keisha's dignified expression, he simply activated the space-based system and used dark energy to transmit the technical data. Che, whose system can be faster than my sister's Skyblade system? While tasting the tea, Liang Bing nonchalantly promoted Kesha's strength. Today's angel civilization has not yet contacted the super seminary. Liang Bing's body still had a faint sweet and silly aura, and he didn't know the existence of the big clock at all. Help me erase a memory. Keisha was silent for a long time, looking up at Luo Tang. In the seemingly simple dark energy data transmission just now, the calculation speed of the two systems has already been judged. Luo Tang has 15 frequencies, which is close to 16 frequencies, while Keisha only has 12 frequencies. Yes. Luo Tang nodded. Peeved. Cough cough. Liang Bing sprayed out a mouthful of tea. Looking at Luo Tang and Keisha in disbelief. My sister asked the other party to help clear the memory. Doesn't that mean that this man's system is more powerful? She had always thought that her sister was invincible, but she completely forgot to ask what kind of memory she was trying to erase. I'm going to buy some oranges, you sit here and don't move. Luo Tang stood up, said something to Liang Bing, and walked to the third floor. Keisha nodded to Liang Bing and walked up to the third floor. Liang Bing sat on the sofa in doubt, looked at the fruits on the table, and muttered to himself. There are oranges here. Asterisk 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 asterisk. In the dense forest like Genichi, Keisha and Runin fled crazily. Behind, Hua Yi's angel legion continued to pursue. It's just that the male angel's genes are too much stronger than the female angel's. After running not far, the two were caught. Over 3,000 female angels were also caught together. They were imprisoned together in the prison of Tiangong. In the dark, decaying, and stench-filled dungeon, Angel, a pretty girl, is constantly being taken away. The obedient ones were taken away and sent to the palace. Those who disobeyed were whipped and beaten continuously to make them submit. Keisha hid in a dark corner, scratched her cheek with her nails, and prayed hard not to be noticed by the male angels. There are fewer and fewer female angels in the dungeon, and her screams and wailings are always echoing in her ears. Just when she was about to give up hope, another group of female angels were arrested. Among this group of female angels, a powerful female angel, after seeing the darkness in the dungeon, encouraged everyone to start rebelling. Kesha followed the rebels and stumbled out of the prison. It's just that female angel, who ended up falling on the way to escape. She didn't even remember what that female angel's name was. I'm going. This experience is too desperate. Luo Tang probably finished reading Keisha's memory. I also understand why all female angels call male angels scumbags. These male angels are the scum of scum. It's hard to imagine that the Order of the Heavenly Palace, which has always represented people with a beautiful appearance, will have such a dark and corrupt side. That bastard Hua Yi, death is not a pity. Luo Tang narrowed his eyes. He saw Keisha's memory personally, and felt quite empathetic. Although Keisha was not insulted, she was still a virgin for thousands of years. But what she saw had already caused her great psychological trauma. Believe in pure, kind and beautiful love, but because of trauma, do you keep rejecting men in your heart? Luo Tang sighed. Give full play to your self-made skills and start creating brand new memories. In memory, Keisha still ran away with Ronning. Just when he was about to be caught by the male angels, a man with golden wings fell from the sky. With a wave of hands, he defeated all the male angels. Ronning continued to stay there because she was reluctant to part with Angel Nebula. And Keisha chose to leave the Angel Nebula with the male angel with golden wings. For 10 years, she and the man with golden wings have been staying on a planet called Eden. From acquaintance, to love. They made a vow to never be separated from each other, and to stay together on this planet forever. Until one day, a group of dying female angels fled to the Garden of Eden. Seeing the tragic situation of the female angels, Keisha left the Garden of Eden with grief and sympathy. For these female angels, she was betrayed by her vows with the male gods. When she overthrew Hua Yi and returned to the Garden of Eden, she could no longer find the male god. Endless sadness and despair completely engulfed her. Until Hexie accidentally said that she saw the man with golden wings and formed a couple with him. Perfect. Luo Tang was extremely satisfied with his tampered memory. Although in terms of character setting, he has included his own image, but he has done the facial blurring in a very moral way. The perfectly embedded memory allows Keisha to trust men again. Also full of hatred for the male angel. Finally, it fits the natural reactions of habitual brain nerve regions caused by emotions such as sadness and despair. This memory has no flaws at all. Wait. It's better. This. Luo Tang narrowed his eyes. Make this memory into a hidden black box, stuff it into the depths of the Skyblade system and hide it. He chose to delete his memory, completely erasing the past 10 years. Checked Keisha's thousands of years of memory again, and patched some small details to perfection. Luo Tang withdrew from Keisha's brain domain and let go of the control of the Skyblade system. Looking at Kesha, who was sleeping peacefully on the soft couch, he picked her up and put her on the sofa on the third floor. He is sure that this is a plan that is linked together. Even if Keisha becomes 10 or 100 times stronger in the future, she still won't find anything abnormal. You pervert. How dare you say you are the queen's father? Luo Tang just went down to the second floor and was about to tell Liang Bing something. The chick rushed forward with her fists clenched, as if she was going to fight. In the more than an hour of compiling the memory for Keisha, Liang Bing has obviously found out what the meaning of "buy oranges" is. Swish. Luo Tang raised one hand, and the power of the system instantly frozen the menacing cold ice in the air. I have deleted your sister's memory, but for her own good, don't be stupid, okay? Pervert. If you let me know that you left something that shouldn't be left in my sister's memory, this queen will definitely. Snapped. Luo Tang slapped his firm, cold buttocks. The amazing elasticity made his hand bounce involuntarily. Liang Bing's words were interrupted abruptly, her eyes fixed on Luo Tang with surprise, embarrassment and other emotions on her pretty face. You're dead. You disgusting death. Snapped. I'm telling you. You've pissed off this queen. I'll kill you. Snapped. There is a way to let the old lady down, bastard. F*K. Snapped. If you F*King have the ability, you will rape my old lady. Hit me. Slap, slap, Luo Tang slap after slap. The crisp slap sound could be clearly heard even downstairs. Liang Bing's originally fair cheeks turned red and hot. She was ashamed and angry, wishing she could bite the hateful man in front of her to death. It's just being constrained by the power of the Wanji travel agency system. No matter how much she struggles, she can't move a bit. It seems that you have a good relationship. Keisha's voice came from the stairs. The ashamed and angry Liang Bing immediately pretended to be cute and pitiful and began to complain. Sister, this pervert bullied me and said he wanted to rape me, he even said that he would accept you too. Having the same male god as Hexy sounds pretty good, do you want to try it? Kesha held the stairs with one hand, glanced at Liang Bing, and walked down slowly from the third floor. Liang Bing had a question mark in his head. What's the situation? My sister's ambiguous words. Damn it. What did this man do to her sister's memory? Sister. Your memory has been tampered with by this damn bastard. After being released from the restraint, Liang Bing pulled Kesha's arm and spoke urgently. I've found out. Keisha raised her chin slightly, revealing the queen's aura. Did you hear that? You bastard. Your damn broken technique is useless at all. Liang Bing was relieved to see her tall and cold sister as before, and turned her head to shout at Luo Tang with an expression of resentment. It's just the way the girl cringes and hides behind Kesha and her left hand tightly clutching her buttocks. Let her yelling seem to have no deterrent effect. I set up a memory backup in the data. Although it seems that some data in the backup is lost, you can't hide it from me. Keisha walked to the side of the armchair. Sitting in a standard queen posture, she sat on the sofa domineeringly. Liang Bing clutched her vitals and followed Keisha step by step. Her frightened appearance made her a little cute. You're guilty. Kesha crossed her legs and rested her chin in one hand. How is it possible? Luo Tang laughed dryly. His guilty conscience is not pretended, but a real guilty conscience. Even if you know that you are 100% sure of giving Kesha a series of tricks, who can really keep it secret? But this is just right guilty conscience. It seemed to make Keisha more determined. The memory in the black box was her original memory. Starting from the genetic level and the level of consciousness, it is a great technology to directly delete the original memory, but it cannot change the most instinctive reaction from the hippocampus, sadness, despair. Luo Tang responded softly as if accepting his fate. Even though the sadness and despair nearly swallowed me up, I never regretted that Angel needed me. I know, so I deleted it. Are you hating me? I just want to make life easier for you. Keisha lowered her head in silence. The crystal fingers holding tightly to the armrest of the sofa turned slightly white, and the complexion kept changing. Liang Bing blinked, and countless question marks rose in his mind. How could she not understand the conversation between the two of them? Hexy is fine, but I'm not bad, and in today's universe, no one can threaten Angel. Keisha's eyes trembled slightly, and her words were not as strong as they were at the beginning. Time will test many things. Luo Tang covered his face with one hand, hiding his expression. What the hell, he thinks he can't keep acting, okay. Although Keisha is also very beautiful, she has the aloofness of a queen. But this posture of wanting to renew the leading edge, he really couldn't bear it. Yes, true love can last forever. Keisha nodded, with a slight smile on her face. Ding, tourist Keisha. The purpose of the trip has been achieved. You can return to the original world at any time, or wait for the expiration of 1 month to return to the original world. Ding. After completing the tourist reception, the host can choose any ability, bloodline, or item from Keisha. The system beeps. Luo Teng raised his eyebrows slightly, but he didn't know what kind of change had taken place in Keisha's heart. Keisha's original purpose of traveling was just to meet Hexy's male god. Obviously, the other party has already made some decisions in his heart. I'll come again after I convince Hexy. Lingbing, let's go. Keisha stood up from the sofa. A flickering ripple appeared across the side of the room. Keisha strode into it and returned directly to the super god world. Huh. Oh. Boom. Liang Bing followed closely and wanted to walk into the ripples, but was bounced back directly. Seeing the gate of time and space disappear, she stretched out her hand in vain, as if she wanted to hold Kesha. What other unfulfilled wish do you have? Luo Teng scratched his head, asking the sluggish Liang Bing. He took the travel orders for the two of them. One is to know how Hexy is doing, and the other is to think that the purpose of the two is simple and it is easy to gain experience. Zai's recent situation, he already knew from Keisha's memory. Apart from missing him a little bit, it's pretty good. Keisha's experience points. Wasting more than an hour, modifying the memory, and acting in a scene, it is considered done. Only Lingbing's experience points have not been obtained yet, so he naturally wants to ask. Damn it. Are you going to destroy flowers with hot hands? Are you still a man? Liang Bing turned his head stiffly and asked with a look of horror on his face. Luo Teng was stunned, got up with a dark face and walked in front of Liang Bing, raised his hand and made a chestnut. Destroying flowers with hot hands? Spicy chicken. Let's do X first and then kill. How dare you say that he is not a man? When he shows up, he can scare this stupid bastard to death. I really want to take your head apart and see what you're thinking. Luo Teng said something viciously to Liang Bing, and put his hand directly on the other's head. Don't, this queen promises to be your female head office. Liang Bing resolutely counseled in seconds. I just experienced the powerlessness of being completely imprisoned, and the strongest backing Kesha has left. She decisively threw away the little bit of integrity she had. Luo Teng looked at it coldly for a long while with a look of disdain. It wasn't until looking at Liang Bing with a smirk all over his face that his whole body became hairy. He turned around and sat back on the sofa. As the demon queen Morgana thousands of years later, Luo Teng couldn't believe that Liang Bing, who advocated freedom in his bones, would succumb to a person so easily. Of the 3 angel kings, which one doesn't have a strong will? If it wasn't for this will, how could Liang Bing leave Keisha's camp? What on earth do you want to do? Luo Teng asked angrily. Liang Bing was seen through the disguise, and no longer pretended to be weak and pitiful. Packed the clothes and stood up, with a rare seriousness in his eyes. What the hell did you do to your sister? Aren't you afraid of me? I'm afraid, but I have to ask. Do you know what happened to her after she was captured by the Wei Angel Corps? Luo Teng was silent for a moment before speaking. Is it the 10 years since she disappeared? I deleted the memory, but her hippocampus was irreparably damaged, and it contained sadness, hopelessness, so I faked a memory and made her believe it was real. What happened in those 10 years? Also, what did you forge? Are you sure you want to know? Luo Teng turned his head sideways, saw Liang Bing's unstoppable eyes, and directly turned on the dark energy data transmission. In less than 10 minutes, Liang Bing watched Keisha's 10-year experience. I also know what kind of memory Luo Teng made up. Damn scum. I'm going to kill them all. Liang Bing cursed viciously. I'll give you 2 copies of data, one for you to Hexy, and one for you to Keisha. Luo Teng packed some data in his database and started to transmit to Lingbing again. Why should I help you? Liang Bing said with a displeased face, but still accepted the 2 copies of data honestly. Kesha's data is her original memory. I put on 3 protection locks. If she really wants to restore her memory, she can unlock it naturally. Damn. Another data, you also encrypted. Hexy knows how to solve it. After opening it, she will share it with you based on your relationship. Luo Teng shrugged. How could he not guard against cold ice? After all, it will be the famous demon queen Morgana in the future. The ghost knows if he will just run away after taking his technology. How should I go back? Liang Bing snapped angrily. Although he was dissatisfied, he didn't intend to pester her. Although she could tell that Luo Teng had no malice towards her. But the power of the two is not on the same level at all. If she is too tough, she will only suffer. Think carefully about your travel purpose, or wait a month. Luo Teng rolled his eyes. Liang Bing hugged her with one hand and walked around the room with her chin in the other. Frowning and thinking for a while, she suddenly turned her head. Show me your wings. That's it. Luo Teng raised his eyebrows, and the angel gene hummed in his body. Swish. Golden wings appeared behind him, carrying an incomparably luxurious light. Gorgeous, dignified, divine. In Liang Bing's mind, countless beautiful adjectives subconsciously emerged. Ding, tourist is cold. The purpose of travel has been achieved. You can return to the original world at any time, or wait for the expiration of 1 month to return to the original world. Ding. Complete the tourist reception. The host can choose any ability, bloodline, and item from the ice. The system prompt sounded. Luo Teng raised his eyebrows, looked at the glazed-eyed Liang Bing, and folded his wings again with a swish. The angel gene in his body, after being systematically improved, is almost fatally attractive to female angels. Let Liang Bing watch it again, maybe something will go wrong. The queen has decided not to leave for the time being. Liang Bing came back to her senses, slightly raised her cheeks, and a hint of an interested smile appeared on her face. That's up to you. Snap, Luo Teng snapped his fingers, and space-time ripples reappeared. After completing the reception task, he can kick the tourists back to the original world at any time. Hey. Damn. You're not serious, are you? Believe it or not, Hexie and I sued. Liang Bing's complexion changed drastically. Luo Teng rolled his eyes, waved his hand, and Liang Bing flew towards the space gate uncontrollably. After gaining experience, he didn't bother to care what this girl thought. Besides, he was still waiting for Lingbing to send the data packet to Hexie. Otherwise, God knows if Hexie will be jealous. He is still waiting for the next time, to have a direct soul communication with Hezili. Bastard. Don't let this queen see you again, or... Liang Bing was thrown into the space gate before she could finish her harsh words. Otherwise, what a ghost. I really thought that Dad disagreed, so can you come over? Luo Teng picked out his ears, and turned his head to look at the interface of the Wanji travel agency system. On the interface, the upgrade experience has increased to 70%. As long as there are 2 more sea-level tourists, he can complete the second upgrade. And at the same time, the visitor interface has also been refreshed. There are 2 ways to refresh the visitor interface. One is to refresh once a month. The second is that the tourists entertained this round have completed their travel purposes and have all returned to their original world. Definitely, there are special cases when the tourist list is refreshed. Just like the previous Ignier and Fubuki from Hell. Ignier is a C-level tourist, and Fubuki is a D-level tourist. From the perspective of the system, the two are not equal. So when Ignier, who was the main reception target, left, the tourist list was refreshed. Kesha and Lingbing, there are 2 more chances to copy. Luo Teng rubbed his chin, thinking about what ability or thing to copy is better. As far as angel genes are concerned, in fact, his current level of perfection is higher than that of Kesha and Lingbing. After all, during this period of time, his gains were not ordinary. Copied the blood of the dragon, obtained the ability of blowing snow, and obtained the knowledge inheritance of Asgard for tens of thousands of years. And when she returned to the world of the Super Theological Seminary, it has only been 3,000 years since he was fully exhausted. 3,000 years compared with tens of thousands of years, the gap is clear at a glance. Moreover, when he helped Kesha delete her memory, he also browsed the other party's database by the way. It won't take long for him to fully digest the second-generation fighter technology. It's not worth copying the angel gene. Then a weapon? Luo Teng scratched his head. After defeating the Tiangong Order and collecting a large amount of silver, Kesha's arsenal has begun to be formed. Among them, weapons such as Big Angel, Silver Wing, Star Life, King Life, and Cloud Shield have also begun to be built. After thinking for a moment, Luo Teng said to the system, copy Kesha's Big Angel. Ding. Suyin Weapon Angel has been stored in the system warehouse, please check with the host. Big Angel is the weapon that uses the most silver in Kaisa's arsenal. Luo Teng's ultimate goal of copying this weapon is to recreate a weapon suitable for him. In the Marvel world, there are also good weapon building techniques. Infinity Gauntlet, Stormbreaker, Odin Scepter, Mjolnir, Levitation Cloak. Combining the technology of the Super Seminary world with the technology of the Marvel world. He is confident that the weapon he creates will be several times more powerful than weapons like the Silver Wing. Liang Bing. Luo Tang thought for a while. It seemed that there was really nothing he needed from Liang Bing. After all, today's Lingbing is still just the king of Apocalypse under Keisha's command. Even the Devil's Claw hasn't been crafted yet. System, can I keep this opportunity forever? The host can permanently retain the obtained opportunity and use it at any time. Luo Tang nodded slightly when he heard the system's words. Just waiting to look at the guest list and study who is more suitable to receive, Tony Stark's shout sounded from the first floor. Mr. Luo. Mr. Luo. I'm here to find you. What is this chatterbox doing here? Luo Tang scratched his cheek, saw Tony who was staggering up to the third floor, and subconsciously activated the space-based system. Target Tony Stark. Blood alcohol content 98 mg, 100 ml, palladium blood content 84%. Palladium poisoning and drinking so much alcohol, is it enough to live? Luo Tang leaned on the sofa and said angrily. Mr. Luo, I'm sorry. I've lost control of my emotions recently. Please listen to me first, okay? Okay. Luo Tang nodded. Tony sat beside him dazedly, and slowly began to confide. Mr. Luo, I'm sorry. I've been a little out of control recently. I've been drinking chlorophyll for the past few days, and I've drank it until I'm about to vomit. But it doesn't work. I searched all the elements, but it didn't work. I know I won't live long. I have already written the will. When I die, you will get 80% of the assets under my name, and I will give the remaining 20% to Potts. Potts is a good woman. She will help you manage the company well. I drank too much. I'm a little sick. When I finish, Mr. Luo, I know you have the ability to protect the Earth. Please also be sure to protect it. In my life, when I find out what I should do, it's too late. I don't have time. Tony spoke intermittently, took out a palladium element detector from his pocket, and pressed his finger lightly on the pinhole. Blood palladium content, 85%, clear numbers, displayed on the instrument. Oh shit, it's spreading faster and faster. Tony Stark fell back. In less than 2 seconds, there was a loud snoring sound. Maybe it's because I saw the strength of alien civilizations in advance and realized the weakness of the Earth. Tony obviously woke up earlier than in the original book. Iron Man, always Iron Man. People's hearts. Luo Tang sighed with emotion. He stood up, walked to the window of the room, and looked at the busy Manhattan neighborhood. A few hours later, Tony woke up from a hangover, and the sky above New York was already covered with stars. Mr. Luo. Damn, I feel so bad right now. Tony shook his head. The Stark Expo model, that's what I went to see when you first met me. What? A new element that can replace palladium. Luo Tang shrugged. Oh, God. Mr. Luo, you are my angel. You disgust me, get out.